And we're back. We're going from family law. We're now going to estate planning. And I actually got 2 emails. People saying they'd like for you to talk a little bit more on probate, which we'll do today.
Excellent.
But we've got one of the partners here from the law firm of Ginsber and Shulman. And David's with us every month. He'll be back with us again next month. We're still going to be on 1470, but we're adding 95.3. So you'll be on both. Tell us a little bit about your firm, because there's always new people tuning in every week, and where you're located at and what areas you cover.
Sure thing, Steve. We're a boutique estate planning, probate, and elder law firm. That's me and a partner, and that's all we do is estate planning. We do elder law, we do probate and guardianship, and they're all tied together.
But you're in the one area that you don't do criminal or
no criminal. I can't help you with your divorce or your DUI.
Right.
Or your daughter got into a car accident or got a speeding ticket.
Okay.
I prefer you to some friends of mine, but we were only that one.
And you are kind of the spokesman for the firm because you're here every month. Tell everybody about your credentials.
Well, thank you. Well, I am board certified in wills, trusts, and estates by the Florida Bar. And board certification is a sign that an attorney is an expert and a specialist in the field. There's over 100,000 lawyers in Florida, and less than 5% are board certified in any area.
We just went over that with Tina because she's board certified
good for her.
too. And I want to tell everybody something, because sometimes they say, "Oh, board certified. Oh, this guy's going to cost me an arm and a leg." You're not the highest, you're not the lowest,
right.
But just because you're board certified, I don't want that scaring people away.
No, we're certainly not the cheapest, but we're not the most expensive either.
So let's talk about just what is estate planning.
Estate planning is really planning for yourself and your property in your family, for what's going to happen if you get sick, or when you pass away. Have you ever thought about, where does all my stuff go? When I die, what happens to my stuff? Who's going to get not just my jewelry and my car? Where's my money going to go? Who's going to get my stocks? My kid is only 5. Who's going to manage the money for them? My kid is 25, but he's not very good with money. Is he going to blow it, or is she going to blow it? I don't like my daughter's husband. So if she inherits this money, is her husband going to take it all and flush it down the toilet? How do I stop that? How do I prevent this from happening? What's the best way of doing that?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. And I'm getting older. What's if I can't make decisions for myself, who's going to make decisions for me? If I have to go into a nursing home, how am I going to plan for that? These are all things we talk about.
So I just told with Tina what we're doing now. Every week we're running on Twitter. So we told everybody we have an estate planning attorney. If you have a question, So this kind of leads into, we had a person say, why does a person need an estate planning attorney? And you're kind of really answering that right now.
I mean, it's like anything else. You can try to do it yourself, but most times if you do it yourself, it's not going to work very well. I can't change my oil. I don't know how to change the oil in my car. I go to a place where they know how to do it. I can't take out my own appendix. You can't do things yourself anymore. There's very few things in society. I mean, a lot of people can change their oil, but no one can take out their own appendix.
Well, here's kind of a strange question. Maybe this person had a problem. Says, is it important for the information I share with my attorney to be 100% confidential?
Well, it is 100% confidential. For whatever type of attorney you have, wherever you go, your information you tell your attorney is 100% confidential. There's attorney-client privilege. There's confidentiality. There's all sorts of rules that I can get in trouble. I can get disbarred. I can lose my license to practice law if I disclose client information. So it's very important the client feels comfortable with me, because I'm asking about every penny they have. I'm asking where the assets are. I'm asking about their family, about if there's drug addiction or mental illness. These are all sensitive topics, and I understand people are hesitant to talk about it. So they do need to be confident with their attorney.
This guy might actually be hiring you. He says, I received a letter stating I am the trustee of my father's estate. Is that how it works?
That's kind of strange.
Why would he not know that?
Well, often people will do planning, and they'll appoint someone to be the personal representative or trustee of their estate, but they won't tell them.
Okay. So he says, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now. Can your lawyer's firm help me?
Absolutely.
And I gave him your phone number.
Yeah, absolutely.
But why would he not know that, though?
Because people don't tell their kids. You know, a client will come in, we'll do their planning, I'll ask them, who do you want to be the personal representative of your estate? Who do you want to be the trustee of these trusts? And depending on the circumstances, it's the surviving spouse. But after the second spouse passes away, it's going to be for people with a lot of money, when there are professional trustees to do these jobs, to do it. And people with over $1 million, there's professional trustees. But for less than that, there aren't as many professional trustees to do the job because it's just not worth it to them. They can't make money off of it. So they appoint family members, they appoint friends. So what will happen is someone will appoint their son or their daughter to be trustee, but they won't necessarily tell them. So, because people don't want to share this information with their kids because it's difficult to talk about. These are important family conversations, but people don't always want to have them.
Well, I'm seeing now firsthand that if there's a lot of assets involved, that it sure changes people.
Oh, sure.
I'm seeing fighting with relatives that you would have never thought would fight. But if it's all prepared properly, maybe there shouldn't be a lot of fighting?
Hopefully, but people always fight. People say, oh, it's not about the money, it's the principle. It's not about the principle. It's always about the money. It's all the time.
It's amazing how people change. I'm going to just give you some areas of your expertise and let you explain to people what they are. First one's easy. Tell people what a will is and why they need a will.
A will is your instructions on what's going to happen to your property when you pass away. And if you have minor children, who's going to be the guardians and the person and property of your minor children. So a will is very important because if you don't have one, the government makes that decision for you.
Can I sign it on a napkin at a bar?
If you have two witnesses, yes.
Wow. See, I saw that on TV. I was like, how can he do that?
If there are two witnesses to your signature, if there are two witnesses, that's a valid will.
That's all it takes.
If you're not two witnesses, then it's not valid.
This is the one I think is so important: revocable living trust.
The revocable living trust is like a will. It's a will substitute, and the purpose of it is to avoid probate. That what happens is that people, what they do is, when they take all their property and they transfer it or they assign it to the revocable living trust, and then instead of they owning the property, the trust owns the property.
So this would keep them out of probate.
Right. So when they die, instead of them owning any property, the trust owns the property, and it won't be subject to probate.
Probate could get pretty expensive.
It could, and there's some circumstances, depending on the size and type of estate. It's
so. Do you like the revocable living trust?
For some people. Not for other people. There's some attorneys who every single person walks in the door, they get a revocable living trust. And that I disagree with.
Okay.
And then if you're younger and you don't have that many assets and you're married and you own your property jointly as husband and wife.
I keep hearing a lot of attorneys, that's all they advertise is revocable living trust and these great deals out there. But you're saying now it's not for everybody.
Well, no, we don't do one size fits all planning. There's some people you go in, every single person gets the same thing. It's very assembly line, but that's not how we practice. We take each client individually. We go over their personal circumstances, their own situation. We explain the difference to them. Not everyone needs a revocable living trust. Some people do. If you're older, over 65 and single, and you have a bunch of different property, I would absolutely recommend a revocable living trust. If you're 22 and married and have everything is joined and not have that much money, you probably don't need it.
Can you give us a story of someone who didn't have a lawyer who tried to do this themselves?
There's so many. I mean, the bigger stories are the people who don't do it at all. It's people like Prince, who didn't have any planning at all. But often people will do is they'll go to that web company, that internet company that advertises.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How can they do that, especially if they have a lot of assets
they go
involved?
Because people, they don't know, and they don't want to spend the money. They think they're getting a good deal. They think they can do it. They think it's all commodity. So they go to the internet company that advertises on the radio, and it's all messed up. And the truth is,
you've probably seen a few of those.
Oh, absolutely. And the truth is, I make a lot more money fixing it after they die than I would have just doing it right to begin with.
So it's important to do it now and not wait.
Right. You talk about litigation. When these internet documents are not clear who the property goes to and who has the rights, that's when litigation comes, because people on different sides of the family think that they're getting the money, and then it's not, the documents weren't done well, and so it's not clear.
I'd be embarrassed to walk in your office knowing that I did this little $49 whatever it is, and I should have come to you in the beginning.
Well, usually what happens is you're dead, and your heirs come in with this document and say, what happens here?
Right.
And I have to explain to them that it's not good, or it goes to their father's ex-wife who no one likes anymore.
Right.
It goes to the wrong person. If you come in and you've already done it, we can fix it. But if the person's already passed away, that's where the big problem is.
Gotcha. What is special needs planning?
Special needs planning is for people, for children with autism,
Okay,
or other disabilities. What happens is we don't want them to inherit the money outright, because one, they're not able to manage the money themselves, and two, if they're on government benefits, if they're on SSI, if they're on Medicaid, if they have too much money, they're going to be disqualified from these benefits. If they inherit $100,000 or $500,000 or even $10,000, if they're on needs-based programs from the government, inheriting this money is going to disqualify them. However, through a special needs trust and other types of planning, we could have someone manage the money for them and still have them qualify for the government benefits and needs-based programs.
If a person dies and they have a special needs child, you want to make sure that child's taken care of.
Absolutely, because you don't want them getting the money themselves, and someone's going to take advantage of them. They're not going to know how to manage it. It's a big problem if you don't do it correctly.
Is it determined who would take care of them if there's relatives involved in the planning?
The court, if there isn't planning,
yes.
If there isn't planning, it's always confusing. There may have to be a guardianship if the person's incapacitated. Then the court would have to appoint a guardian of the person or property, and they may not be the person that you wanted, and it may be an independent professional who has no ties to the family, who's going to get paid and is going to use up the funds.
Well, we're going to go to break. Before we go to break, give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure. It's GinsbergShulman.com, GinsbergShulman, and it's 954-990-0896.
And what we're trying to do on this show is tell you, don't wait till the last minute. And we're going to talk about when you should start putting a will together and some other keywords like power of attorney and healthcare advance directives. So we're going to go to break. When we come back, we have more with attorney David Shulman.
When was the last time your will was reviewed, or do you even have one? Do you know that without a will, the government decides how your property is distributed upon your death? Did you know that without proper estate planning, your children would receive every penny of their inheritance on their 18th birthday to use or lose without any guidance? The law offices of Ginsberg Shulman provide their clients with comprehensive estate planning, probate and trust administration, guardianship, business planning, and wealth preservation. They believe that planning for the future should not be left until the future. Whether you are young, middle-aged, or in retirement, your life is always changing. Comprehensive estate planning can protect you and your loved ones from the unexpected. When you experience a significant life cycle event or life change, it is a good time to have your estate planning reviewed. Contact their office today at 954-839-8705.
And we're back. We're here live with attorney David Shulman of Ginsberg Shulman. They do estate planning. Your partner does guardianship.
Right. It does a lot of guardianship, elder law. I do a little elder law, a little Medicaid planning. She does almost all guardianship, contested guardianship, elder abuse.
Now, we get a lot of snowbirds here, so I guess they're here 6 months out of the year. Should they see an attorney in Florida?
Well,
or one in New York? How would
they have to figure out where their permanent residence is. They have to pick one, Florida or New York. And the smart thing to do is to pick Florida because our taxes are a lot lower.
Okay.
And then New York.
Did you hear that, New York people? You want to get someone here Because of taxes. I'm sure they know that.
Well, they want to move here. They want to be more. They want to be more in Florida than in New York.
Yes.
To not have to pay New York income taxes.
Right.
Not have to pay New York estate taxes.
Their
if they
taxes
die.
are outrageous.
New York taxes are really high
in New York.
So if they're back and forth, they really should pick a place. And I suggest picking Florida, and then certainly seeing a Florida attorney.
Well, we're going through some key term words now so people understand. Another one is power of attorney.
A power of attorney allows you to appoint someone to make financial decisions for you. Not healthcare decisions, but financial decisions. Now, what's very important in the power of attorney is it's effective immediately upon signing. That it used to be that it was a springing power of attorney. It sprang into existence. It didn't come into effect until after you became incapacitated. Now, the legislature...
That seems too late by then.
Well, that's when you would need it. That you would sign it, and then if you became incapacitated, it would spring into existence, and and the person you appointed would be able to open your mail, pay your bills. Now it's effective immediately. So that it's actually a little dangerous because if you don't trust the person who you appoint, they have actually the ability to go do financial things on your behalf. So it's very important to be sure that you understand that it's effective immediately, and then you understand that you trust the person you are appointing.
Now, when I say living will, that's different than a revocable living trust.
Right. A living will is an end-of-life instruction. Remember the Terry Schiavo case?
Oh, yes.
Remember Terry Schiavo was hooked up to the machine?
So she had a living will.
She did not have a living will.
Did not have one.
And that's why they were litigating it for 10 years, because she did not have a living will. A living will states that if I'm in a persistent vegetative state or an end-stage condition or a terminal condition, whether or not I do or do not want to be kept alive artificially by machines. And when in Terry Schiavo case, her husband said that she did not want to be kept artificially alive, and her parents, who were very religious Catholics, said that she did, and it was against their religion or her religion to disconnect her. And because she did not have a living will, because she did not express what her decisions were, then that's why they were fighting over it for so long.
Who should have a living will?
Everyone.
It should.
I mean, well, if you're over 18...
You never know what's going to happen to you.
Right. I mean, anyone over 18, you may not need a last will and testament because you may not have any assets, but you certainly need a living will and a power of attorney and a healthcare surrogate also.
Well, we just had someone ask, what is a subsequent marriage, divorce, or child? It says, what effect does it have on a will?
It's an interesting question. It could be complicated. There's called a preterminated spouse or a preterminated child, that if you go and you do a will and then you subsequently get married afterwards or you have a child afterwards, but you don't update your will to include them under certain circumstances, even though they weren't in the will, that they can take a part of the estate.
Wow.
Because let's say you get married and then you're lazy, you don't get around to it, you haven't updated your will to include your spouse, your new spouse, and then you die, they don't get cut out. There are ways for them to take as part of the estate.
Well, look, Prince didn't even have a will, so
right, but he didn't have a spouse or children either.
Right.
Now I'm hearing that
he had brothers and sisters apparently.
And now I'm hearing there may be someone out there who is an actual child of his who he had a fling with their mother at some point. And if that's true, they're going to inherit 100% of the estate.
Is that right?
They're going to get $300 million.
So they haven't started divvying up. I mean, he's been gone for 4, 5, 6 months now.
This could take years.
Really?
Well, first of all, they're going to have to file an estate tax return.
Okay.
Because if you have over $5.4 million,
which he did,
which you do, you have to file a federal estate tax return. And he's going to have to pay probably over $100 million. Not him, but his estate's going to pay over $100 million in estate taxes.
Wow. So when a person, again, I want to get back to a person you've got to get an estate planning attorney. I mean, you've got to have a will. You've got to protect yourself. So, but people don't have any practice at this.
Well, what happened? Well, people...
So they should come to you.
Sure.
But what kind of questions should people ask when they're interviewing an estate planning attorney?
They should ask what their background is. I'm board certified. Like I said, I also have an LLM in estate planning. They should ask how long they've been doing it for. They should ask what percentage of their practice is dedicated to estate planning. Because for me, it's 100%.
Right, exactly.
With probate and guardianship included.
Between you and your partner, you've got it all all areas of estate planning.
Right,
taken
estate
care of.
planning and administration.
Exactly.
But right, like I said, we don't do any divorce. We don't do any of that anything else. So ask yourself, ask these attorneys, besides estate planning, what else do you do? And if they do a lot of other things, then they may not be the right person for you. And if you have a simple estate, that's fine. But as things get more complicated, you really need a specialist.
What authority do the administrators have to manage an estate assets? What are their authorities? What can they do?
Well, they can do a lot. When a person dies, the court appoints what's known as a personal representative. In other states, it's an executor. Some places it may be.
What is it in Florida?
In Florida, it's a personal representative.
Okay.
And it's that person's job to gather to marshal the assets, whether it's stock or real estate or money, to marshal it all. Then, if not, to invest it, to manage it during the pendency of the estate, possibly to sell it if necessary. Then to see who the creditors are of the estate, and see who the decedent owed money to, credit card bills, hospital bills, whatever it was. And then afterwards, once all that is established, they have the assets, the creditors are paid, they know who the beneficiaries are, then to distribute the assets of the estate to the beneficiaries.
You know what? We've been doing this for a while now, and I so trust you when it comes to this. So let's say I had another estate planning attorney. But like I'm hearing David Shulman right now, and I really like this guy. Can I bring my stuff into you to look over?
Sure.
Give second opinions.
Sure. Not necessarily for free, but...
No, we would know.
Oh, but
your time is valuable.
right. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have something, I'd be happy to look at it and explain it to you. And I've done that before. And often I say, hey, this guy did a good job for you.
Okay.
There are certain attorneys who I know, when I see that they did their documents, I have respect for them, and I know it's going to be good. So but if someone brings it to me, and I'll give an honest opinion. If I think that the attorney did a good job for them, I'll tell them that they did a good job for them. I don't need to do anything. You don't need to hire me. They did a good job for you.
Okay.
So sometimes they say, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Do you know that your third cousin's getting your most prized possession? Is that what you want? No. Well, this is really messed up.
See, I would want a second opinion. I guess after seeing what our family has gone through,
Right.
I'm not saying anybody did a bad job, but there was things that came up that no one anticipated, and apparently it wasn't explained properly. I think just explain to people is really important in your practice.
Sure. I mean, educating the
Because you do
clients.
that on the show. You make it so easy to understand. But I've had attorneys that I had no idea what they were talking about.
Right. Educating the clients is a very important part of what we do.
Now, do you ever do any type of seminars or anything?
I actually have done seminars in the past. When we took the summer off, we did them in Davie. We did them in Tropical Acres. We did seminars for a few months. And
Do you anticipate doing any more seminars
we are
in the fall or winter?
Yes, we're putting our schedule together. We're putting our fall schedule together now. We're going to be doing seminars probably in Boca and in Davie. But we don't have
Tell
any...
everybody where your offices are, too.
We have an office.
Your main office.
Our main office is in downtown Fort Lauderdale at 401 East Los Olas, which is the Bank of America building. And we also have an office in Boca Raton on Glades Road at One Boca Place, which I think is 2255 Glades Road.
So if you're in the West Palm area or Boca, you've got an office. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, you've got an office on Las Olas. Bro, there are so many good restaurants in Las Olas.
They're opening.
Please
and
tell me
they're
you bring your
closing.
lunch to work.
One, I never bring my lunch to work. I go out to
On probate, because this is one of the questions I got. How can an attorney assist me in the probate process?
Well, in Florida, it's required to have an attorney.
Oh, okay.
If you're the personal representative of the estate, that depending on who my client is, I either do all the work, or I do some of it, or the client does all the work. Often,
You handle the taxes too in the probate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But the general work, we prepare all the legal documents for the clients that we can contact the banks for them. We really do. There's a lot of hand holding involved because the people appointed aren't professionals and need someone to help them do.
I've got a great final question for you.
Sure.
Why should I hire you? It's okay. Tell people because, it's important that they get the right attorney. So be a little humble. Tell everybody why they should hire you.
We think we do a very good job for our clients, that we're very dedicated, we pay attention, we really think we know what we're doing, and we do what's right for our clients.
I love that. Give everybody your phone number.
It's 954-990-0896.
And your website, which you've got a great website.
It's ginsbergshulman.com, GINSBERGSHULMAN.com. It's a great website, and we're updating it within the next month or so.
Okay. So David's with us every month. And you know what? Really, next time I really want to start taking phone calls. We're going to open the lines up. If you've got a question about estate planning, we're going to take phone calls. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening today. Thank you, David
Thank
Shulman.
you, Steve.
Ginsberg Shulman. We'll see you next week. Peace and love. We're out.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this